Welcome to the Nikki Medoro Show. I am Nikki Medoro. She is Kim McAllister, and this is the hangover show after the election. Hit
The
that
group
thumbs
hug.
up button. Yeah, let's just all kind of hug, raise our glass, cocktails and news, and please support the show because we all need to support each other after that election. We're gonna talk about how we feel. I'm gonna actually, Kim, can you put up the link to the show? If anybody wants to commiserate and actually come on and hear their voice on the show, you're welcome to do that. Because it's our show. I know that it's really hard.
I would say you don't have to use video if you don't want to.
You don't have to. You don't have to put your face up on there. You can just use your voice if you want to. But if you want to come on and kind of talk how you're feeling, please do. I'll say this. I was extremely naive. I don't think I really feel, Kim, that I was so freaking optimistic and naive that I thought that I really ignored. I ignored the misogyny and sexism in this country because I was so inspired.
And
you know
racism.
what I mean?
Well, in your defense, I'll tell you this way. It felt like there was a massive momentum at the beginning of her, 107-day campaign.
Yeah.
And then in the last week or so, you felt this uptick, this surge in the feeling of positivity, optimism, polls coming out, and people saying, "Oh, she's going to win the popular vote." Like we had a real shot at this. Is how
I was really
so lopsided. It's like I'll knock you right on your ass, right?
I was so and we're going to get into this a little bit about what Democrats can do. That's why the name of the show is like, now what, right? Like, now what do we do? What are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? Because this is the thing. Mm-hmm. He won the popular vote. I mean, this is actually a referendum. Remember when Obama beat John McCain? And it was like hands down. Like, he blew him out of the water. It wasn't just it was so many Americans voted for Obama. So many Americans voted for Donald Trump. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Pamela, for the $5 donation. Nikki, your face during the Mark Thompson show revealed everything. Thanks for having the conversation tonight. Thank you so much. And thank you for the donation. Look, we need to have kind of this come to Jesus or whatever moment the Democratic Party does. Okay. We're going to talk about that tonight. Because I really do think, like I said on the Mark Thompson show, we are not living in the same America. We don't. We are not living in an America where we understand what we need, what Republicans, and I'm not talking about Trump supporters. I'm talking about Republicans. I'm talking about Republicans, Democrats, independents, what we're reading, what we're talking about, what we care about, and how we talk about the issues. Because I really thought that we were talking about the issues, and we're not. We are talking in a way, and I'm talking about Democrats, we're talking in a way that is not resonating with people at all, I think, because we lost badly in this election, and it's hard.
I was reading something that Wes wrote. He's a member of this community, online chatter type of but he was talking about, he went issue by issue and talked about how other people feel about the issues versus people in the liberal, he called it a bubble, which I'll agree. Here in the Bay Area, we are in a bubble. We get it. And so perhaps we are way out of touch with how the rest of the world feels or the rest of the country feels. I would argue, though, and so what I was going to say is that his writings were really interesting to me when he talked about how, trans people feel about how busing and flying the immigrants to other countries that haven't had to deal with that. And all of a sudden in New York, they had to have their students work from home, right? Do school from home because the immigrants were in the gym, right? That these problems now open the eyes of people in other states. And he kind of goes on and on about things that we wouldn't necessarily think about. Right. And how maybe those things could have affected people in other states. And I appreciated it. I thought it was an eye opener, but I still feel like she came to the table with plans and he came with a concept of a plan. I still
Mhm.
feel like we put the price of, as a country, of milk and eggs over the price of freedom, democracy, liberty, whatever you want to call it. So, as I've read a couple of things that people say, enjoy your cheap eggs while, your
Right.
daughter can't get the healthcare she needs. Like, what's really important? What are we really prioritizing?
And I
Uh,
hear what you're saying, but I feel like it's how we're delivering this message. Do
right.
you understand? It's how we're saying it. Like, I think that people care about, obviously the Constitution, right? And people
Hmm.
care about democracy.
Do they?
But well,
Because if
no,
they
I
if
mean,
they if they cared about the Constitution, they wouldn't have voted for the guy that said we should terminate it so that I could have more presidential power.
but when they're voting, no, again, Kim, like I understand what you're saying, but when you're talking about an election, I think what Democrats need to stop doing, and I know this is going to be really harsh to say and goes against, right, our hearts and our minds. We need to stop, and I hesitate. We need to stop freaking inspiring people,
Mm.
right? And we need to start talking about the table issues, right? We need to stop talking about, and I hate to call out my man Obama, the hope and the change and inspiring people. We need to talk about the things that they're concerned about, right? Like we need to listen to what they're talking about when people are complaining. Let's just talk about what you were talking about, the border. When they're complaining
Yeah.
about something and we're like, well, that's racist, or these people need our help and democracy,
Mhm.
and give us your tired and your weak, and we start talking about platitudes and start coming at them with what's written on the Statue of Liberty, they feel ignored.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. They're like, stop talking to me about the Statue of Liberty and start listening to what I'm talking about, because my kid doesn't have this and you're ignoring me. And that's what I think Democrats need to come to terms with, is that there is a significant, obviously, portions of America who are done with this inspirational bullshit
Right.
message from Democrats. And even though we're inspired and we believe in it, I do believe in it, and I don't think it's wrong. And I am inspired by our messaging. When it comes to elections and getting people to the polls and checking the boxes, we're failing. We're failing at getting them. Now, there's another truth that we need to come to terms with, and that's the fact that Republicans win at the fear mongering, right? Like we try to get people
Mhm.
inspired to the polls. It's like news, right? It's like the good news channel that
Right.
always fails.
They always tell us if it bleeds, it leads, right?
There's a reason for that,
Yeah.
right?
I hope people would rise above it though. And I feel yeah, liberals suck at messaging, says SJ Lola. And someone else talked about how they're getting the folks that are conservative are getting their information from a whole different place than other people.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and I feel like every time I've kind of entered into a conversation with someone who's a MAGA Trumper, they come at me with these facts in quotes
Mm,
that they truly believe that
right.
I know for certain are wrong. And so
Give me an example. Give me an example. I mean, just can you think of one right now?
there's so many, where I may have a figure on I don't know how many people died of COVID and their figure is
Okay.
low. I mean, it's just like random facts and things that you can't even have the conversation with someone because our information is so vastly
Right.
different. I
Right.
can't talk to you, meet you halfway, come to an understanding, understand what you're thinking if what you're thinking is based on inaccurate information. And so, how do we make sure the information is accurate? Because if we all not have the same information, but had access and were paying attention
Right.
to truth and facts, and we weren't being lied to or spoon fed the, the political bent that we only go to one site. We only go because it makes us feel better. Regardless of whether they had to pay a massive fine for lying or not, soothes our soul to hear these things. If we can't even approach it from, we have the same information at our fingertips, even though we may interpret that information differently and come away with a different opinion, because that's the way it used to be. Now we have vastly different information, and of course they would think, that what they think, because that's what they believe. And I don't know how you get around that.
Yeah. And John makes a good point. Right-wing media, Fox and radio stations throughout America dominates over our side. Now, that is true. You go middle America, it is all right-wing radio. Right. That's all you hear. John says they are fed it 24/7. Like transgender was a huge issue for them, but we don't even see it as a problem. And that's true. Now, let's take the transgender issue, okay? Because Donald Trump, he's already come out and said it. He's going to take away this whole transgender protections under Title IX or whatever it is. He's going to stop all that, right? He's going to take that out of schools. Now,
here's one.
The school also, like the school letting transgenders participate in sports and the bathrooms and everything like that. Now, look, let's have the conversation real quickly about transgenders in sports, right? We never addressed it. We never addressed the concerns and I will say valid concerns that people had. We never did.
Are they really valid though? Because when I look at it as maybe there's 4 or 5 instances where this is a problem. Okay. And if in the scheme of things and in prioritizing things, right? I'm sorry not to be concerned about, whether or not there's fairness in sports and whether or not people are being discriminated against for being transgender. I just don't see it in the priority of issues as something that rises to the level of we need a national discussion about it.
But there is a national discussion about it.
True. And I
so you can't ignore that. But we are ignoring it because we're calling it, oh my God, you hate transgender people. See, this is the problem. But again, Kim, this is again what Democrats are doing. I'm just trying to call out what we're doing wrong. We're taking an issue. We're saying you guys hate transgender people. It shouldn't be an issue. And then we ignore it. And we ignore it and ignore it. And then Republicans say, look, they're ignoring our problem. Right. They still see it as a problem.
But it isn't a problem. Because it's only a problem because Fox News tells you it's a problem. You see what I mean? So we're giving air to that by even considering it and raising it on the priority list. We're giving air to the fact that they think this is a problem.
Whether we think it is or isn't, it is one though. If so many people think that it is, Kim, it is. Whether we like it or not, whether we agree or not. What is true is a significant number of Americans watch Fox News, listen to right-wing radio, and vote. So if we don't have a conversation about it with a large swath of people and try to reach a compromise versus ignore it because we're like, you're being misled by right-wing radio, so we're going to ignore it. I would rather go to the table and have a conversation. Right? Okay, let's talk it out. Transgender people exist. Let's talk about it. Maybe having a conversation about it, right? And bring people to the table instead of ignoring it because we think that it's not an issue.
It's the same thing as these two. I'll give you 2. And thank you to Chris, who brings up they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And Sandy, who says people are getting abortions in the 9th month of pregnancy.
Right.
Obviously, no, they are not. Obviously, that is not happening unless, there's a major, major medical problem, right? And probably both individuals involved are in medical hazardous conditions. But this is the thing. It's a lie. That is a lie. People don't do that unless there's a major catastrophe. No, they weren't eating the dogs and cats. Right. And even Vance admitted saying, well, it doesn't matter if it's a problem because we want to highlight this issue.
Right.
So then and I agree with you. Maybe we have to give air to it, but responding to lies seems like a waste of time when there are real issues to talk about. Like the fact that Ukraine has got to be in its last throes right now. I mean, this is like the last couple of months that we're going to see a Ukraine, right?
I mean,
about
Biden
women.
says he's going to give the last of his money, but then, yeah, I don't. Trump said he's going to end the war on day one. Well, he was supposed to already end it, right? He said he was going to end it the day he got after he got elected, but who knows? And thank you, John, so much for the $10 super sticker. We really do
Thanks, John.
appreciate it. I just,
But these
what
are
I'm,
true things. These are true things. So why are we prioritizing lies instead of true things? And
but
half the country is believing the lies.
But I'm not, but transgenders, talking about transgender athletes in sports is not a lie. There are transgender athletes in sports. That's a different
Mhm.
issue than they're eating the dogs and the cats. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Hmm.
that is an issue. And I'm not trying to fall into the trap of saying that there's something wrong with transgender athletes.
Sure.
I'm using that as an example of an issue that is really big for Republican voters that Democrats didn't deal with, that we
Right.
pushed aside and said, no, it's wrong. You just hate transgender people. And we never really dealt with it. And we called people names and we didn't deal with it. And that's what I'm saying is our problem. We like to call people names and then we ignore them. And that's our problem. We like to call people names. They like to call people names too. I'm not saying they don't. Okay, that's total BS. They like to call us names too. But I'm just trying to identify where we're going wrong, because there are so many people that are being brainwashed. I do think that they are being brainwashed, that these problems are bigger than they are, right? That it's not as big of a problem like you're talking about the late term abortions, right? That these problems aren't as big. But if we don't have the conversation, if we just slough it off, oh, you're being lied to, you're being brainwashed, and we don't educate people and we don't bring them to the table, then they're just not going to listen to us anymore. We need our
Cheryl
own.
says we need our own fox. Here's the problem, though. I don't want lies. I don't want lies just because they're liberal lies. I want the truth. I think a lot of conservatives want the truth too. They just aren't getting it.
Right.
So I don't want a liberal fox. I don't. I just want truth in the media. And I think for the most part we have, and I know people are like, I hate the media. I know that we try really hard. Let me tell you a newsroom rule. In most newsrooms, before you can put a story on the air, you have to have at least 3 sources. In some newsrooms, it's 5 sources. So you can back up and confirm a story that you aren't reporting on yourself, right? You haven't gone out, you haven't gotten the information yourself, but you see other stories coming in, whatever the story may be. You don't just believe it from one outlet. You don't believe it from 2 outlets, 3 or more. That's the standard. What's the standard for Fox?
There isn't one.
Right.
There isn't one. I'm going to play you a little bit. This is a Democratic strategist also talking about. Oh, go ahead.
Just look at the John Watson. Your boy is going to school and coming home a girl.
That's not happening.
No,
that's not happening.
But people believe it.
And John, I mean, you actually can't actually believe that, right?
No, he's got it in quotes. He's saying that's what they're telling people.
That's what. And again, I can't even give kids Vaseline for their lips if they're chapped. Believe me,
you have to sign a form that you agree and consent to have your kid carry sunscreen in their backpack.
Exactly. Like, I can't give kids anything. And we're short on pencils. You think we're giving out surgery? I don't think so. Come on now. Here's a Democratic strategist, okay? To also giving some hard truths to some Democrats.
No, I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is what the message that voters sent to us. For a number of reasons. We don't know how to speak to voters. When we address Latino, and language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do. When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university, and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right? And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names, and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Michael that I'm not going to say to you, that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense. And we need to start being the party of common sense again. Joe Biden is not responsible for that. Neither is Kamala Harris. It is a problem that Democrats have had for years. I've been banging the drum on this for, I don't know how, probably 10 years, if not longer on this. We need to get back to being the party of common sense, that people look at us and say, we understand you. We appreciate what you say because you speak our language. And until we do that, we should stop blaming other people for our own mistakes.
What do you think?
Is it really the problem of the Democrats for failing to communicate? Or is it the fault of voters who turn the blind eye to anything anyone else says and only get their information from one source? Because I heard Kamala Harris as an effective communicator. In broadcasting, they tell you that you have to say the same thing over and over again, at least 6 or 7 times in order for people to remember it and hear it. All right. Over and over again, she said the same thing at her rallies. She had the same taglines, right? Lift us up, right? A real leader lifts people up. Like you could call out all of her taglines. You had Pete Buttigieg. Are you saying he's not an effective communicator? He was all over Fox News. And so is it that people aren't listening because they want to believe what they want to believe? Or is it because we really aren't effective communicators?
I think what she was saying, though, is that we are trying in our, and I think it's admirable. I think in our effort to be so inclusive, right? She mentioned Latinx and pronouns and things like this. In our effort to be inclusive, we have excluded people who just don't give a shit.
Right.
And for whatever way, they're like Latinx, and that has excluded. And we're going to talk about the Latin vote coming up. Mm-hmm. But a lot of Latin people are like, no, that's not how, that's not how our language works, right? They don't give a crap about that.
Right.
And 2, there is this misogynistic stereotype that does exist among many in the Latin culture. They don't want this X at the end. They don't care about that, right? So you've already excluded people in your effort to be inclusive.
And it's true. And I do agree with what she said in the latter half of her statement about being too woke, right? About people who and Wes said this earlier in his comments that I was reading, about how people barely understand what it means to be gay. And they really don't understand all the variations of being, non-gendered, trans, whatever,
everything, right?
Yes. They don't get it. They don't understand it. And are we cramming that down people's throats? Yes. Is the pronouns at the end of the emails an eye roller? Sometimes. I understand that we're doing it to be inclusive. And I always thought, well, if it makes someone feel better, then what's it to me?
What's the big deal? Exactly.
But I understand. I understand though that there's not there's a large segment of the population that doesn't think that. But I go back to what you said at the beginning, which is that we have somehow, the left has a hard time communicating. And I just think it's because people don't want to hear it.
Vicky, thanks for the $10 donation. She says, you guys are so close to the idea that maybe transgenders in women's sports is inherently unfair. I'm not close to the idea.
I'm not either.
I've said for many, I think there should be another category. I've been saying that for a long time, and I've changed my opinion about that. I started off by saying, oh, just let them play. It's not that big of a deal. And I have changed my opinion about that over the years because people have come out and said, no, it's unfair. And I have listened to that. Yep. So no, I do believe that there should be a separate category because so many people have been coming out and saying, I am transgender because they've been feeling safe coming out. It's like, okay, it might be a small category. Some people don't mind competing in a category that has male, female, and transgender athletes in it. So let's create this until there's enough people just simply for a transgender category. I'm fine with that. But I do think that people have valid concerns about having biological women compete against transgender female,
Right.
especially those that have gone through puberty. I
It's not
understand
fair.
that.
It's
I
not fair.
do.
But how big of an issue? I'm like, how many people really are affected by it? And as far as you and I and our opinion on it, I feel like asked and answered. 2 years ago, my niece competed in the national youth rowing championship in Florida. And I think I mentioned at the time, they had a third category. It was called open. And you
Yeah.
could compete in it if you're a boy or a girl or whatever you felt like you were or whatever you identified as. They didn't care. You could have
Right.
a girl and a boy on a two boat. You could have two boys. You could have whatever. It didn't matter. Two trans people, totally. So it's such an easy fix that why are we making it into this thing that needs some massive national debate when we already have the solution and we can move forward?
Well, obviously, we haven't come up with a solution that appeases everybody, right? And so that's
Yeah.
the issue. That's
And
the
thank you,
issue. And,
Vicky.
and I feel like
Yeah.
people just haven't come to the table. And again, I do think that looking at how the vote came out is shocking. It
Hmm.
needs to wake us up. Now, the Latino vote, especially after they eat the dogs, eat the cats, especially after the mass deportation threat. I mean, the getting rid of the birthright citizenship. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these things that Trump has said, he did extremely well with Latinos. There is this Hispanic radio host in Pennsylvania talking to MSNBC, and he was talking about this idea of Latinos, specifically Latino men, and why they voted for Donald Trump. Here we go.
Latino vote in general, it was the Latino man. It was the Latino man who decided that they were going to vote for Donald Trump. And I will dare to say that it's the Latino man who wouldn't want a woman president. I mean, you and I had this discussion before, and I have audios from the Latino men who were calling my show, telling me that they wouldn't vote for her just because she was a woman. And that is unfortunately, but that's part of the Latino culture, right? Where the Latino, the man is the one, the provider, and we're the boss. And we still unfortunately have a lot of Latinos with that mentality where the woman belongs in the kitchen. That is a reality of the Latino male chauvinist culture. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Victor, how do you get them back if you're part of the Democratic Pro-Democracy Coalition?
I mean, again, they were willing to vote for Joe Biden. They were just not willing to vote for Kamala Harris. So I will say, listen, the Democratic Party needs to make sure that they regroup, that they look for somebody young, vibrant, that can make the case just like Joe Biden did. But unfortunately, as far as this Latino man's, I don't think at any time in the future they will vote for a female president. That's sad to say. I'm a Latino man. I supported Kamala Harris, but I can tell you, I heard it. I brought that to your attention. I brought you audios of men calling my show and telling me, oh, no, she won't be respected. Oh, no, there's no way she can handle the job. And I will argue with them on the air, and I will bring examples of other female powerful leaders in the world, and they seem not to want to hear it.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, I see. Yeah. Obviously, Mexico has a female president.
That's what I was going to say.
I hear that and I see that. I also think that Kamala Harris not only was a woman, she was also a woman of color. And when you have a woman of color going up against a strong white man like Donald Trump, I don't know. Look, I wasn't against. I'm obviously a Democrat. You guys all know that. And I said, I was never against talking about Republican policies. The reason why I would never vote for Donald Trump is I think he disqualified himself. That was my problem. I've always had the problem with the man. Chris says, what I'm hearing from the CNN piece and from discussion is blame DEI. And that is one of those things where the right makes the center move right and the left looks way left when it's just slightly left. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You know what was surprising to me though, Kim? You know those memes where you see where it's like, don't ask me to forgive you, when the way that you've been talking about, the name calling and all of the don't ask me to forgive. You've seen those memes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
People that are Trump supporters post those. Like, we live in a society in which they think that we act like that to them, that Trump supporters think that for the past 4 years, they have been extending the olive branch to us. Okay. That they have been the ones that have been trying, right? That they've been trying to compromise and be the bigger person. That is a world that we are living in, where we think that they have been absolutely batshit crazy, right? Yelling and screaming MAGA bullshit all the time. And they think we've been doing the same thing to them. And I'm almost emotional saying that, because that is how messed up this country is that is the reality. That is how crazy the mis and disinformation is right now, is that they actually, and I'm not saying all of them, I think that there are actually people that know damn well they're terrible, awful, crazy ass people. Okay. But there are people that actually believe that they've been extending an olive branch to liberals this whole time. The whole time that they've been like, oh my God, I've been trying to reach these liberal Democrats, and they haven't been listening. They've been calling us racist, and we haven't been racist. They've been calling us fascists, and we're not fascists. And we've been looking at them being like, but you are acting racist. You are acting, how can you support? You know what I mean? Like, that's how disconnected we are. And it blows my mind. And I have a hard time, because I don't know how we get back together. I feel like we have to be the bigger people, right? I feel like once again, we have to be the adults in the room.
Yep.
And there's a part of me that wants to be a child. I don't want to be the adult in the room again. Like, why do I have to be the adult in the room for another 4 freaking years? And what danger is it going to be? Who is he going to appoint? So he's appointed as chief of staff. The history has been made, right? A woman has been appointed as his chief of staff. Susie Wiles, I think I'm pronouncing her name right, has been appointed chief of staff. The first time a woman has been appointed chief of staff. She apparently isn't, at this point, doesn't seem to be. She ran his 2016 campaign. Apparently, it helped make him great again. She was part of that the first time around. She's not a big look at me type of person. She didn't even take the microphone when he was talking about her.
She looked mortified at his victory speech. He called her up on stage, and she just kind of sank into the background.
Yeah, she didn't want attention. I don't know why I like that, but I do. I don't know why. Okay.
Oh no, those are the people that are almost more dangerous, right? Because they can just go along quietly, unassuming, doing all the bad things. I worry.
Okay. So this is what I was hinting to Kim I wanted to talk about. What is your mentality moving forward? So I did not cry, by the way. I have not shed a tear since
I knew you wouldn't, because you get angry, right? I'm a slobbering mess, and you're like, okay, now I'm pissed.
I have this is my mentality. And I've summed it up into one word. And the one word is fine. Okay? Fine. And it's not like I'm not going to fight for my rights.
That's a loaded word, my friend.
It's not like I'm not going to still be, the me that's going to still fight for everything that I believe in, right? Okay? This is what I mean by fine. Fine. You're telling me, this is what I say to Trump supporters, like my father and everybody else. Fine. Fine. You're telling me, this is what you're telling me. The economy is going to be better. I'm going to get cheaper healthcare, right? Fine. I'm going to get cheaper healthcare. The border is going to be protected. The economy is not going to crater when you do mass deportations. That's not going to look like internment camps, right? Fine. This is what you're telling me. That's what I'm telling Trump supporters. Fine. You show me that. Show me that. Show me that you're not racist and misogynistic. Fine. Show me those things. Fine. That's what I mean by fine. Because I don't believe it. But fine. You wanted another 4 years with this guy? Fine. Fine. Show me. Because that's what they keep promising, right? Oh, no, trust Trump. He's not a racist. He's not misogynistic. He's going to protect women, whether we like it or not. Fine. 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 I have no other choice. There's no other choice but to accept, obviously, the result of the election, because I'm not a child and I'm not going to hang a Trump flag and storm the Capitol, because I'm sorry, that did happen. Okay, fine. Fine. I don't believe it until I see it. Fine. You think I'm going to, my 401k and my bank account is going to explode with money, right? Fine. My water is going to be cleaner. My air is going to be cleaner, right? Fine. Gas is going to be $1 again, and it's not going to destroy the environment. Fine. Fine. Show me. Show me how you're going to do all that. Fine. Fine. That's what I say. I don't believe it's going to happen, but fine. That's my attitude.
Chris sets the over-under on Susie Wiles at 8 months. Does she not realize what happened to the last guy? Like, they all end up facing charges and prison time. I don't know.
Reince Priebus, John Kelly, we know what happened to him. I mean, it's this weird, I will say this. So, you know, my dad's a big old Trumper, right? So the next, I didn't even tell you, who did cry? Oh, so, okay. So, you know,
okay, tell me all of this. I need the juice.
This was really interesting, Kim. So I did not shed a tear. I did not. Okay. So I did Mark's show. I felt it, obviously. Everybody, you started to feel it kind of early. Like, it was not looking good early on.
Yeah.
And I just went to bed. I was like, screw this. I'm going to bed. I felt it. I did say my prayers, but I knew it was a long shot. I have weird dreams though. And I woke up and I there was a moment where, like, Schrodinger's cat or whatever, I lived in this world where I didn't know yet. Like, I lived in a world where I was like, maybe. And then, like, my husband, like, was came out of the bathroom, and I said, good morning. And he said, good morning. It's better for your dad though. And I was like, oh. And I was like, is it official? And he said, yeah. And I was like, and he gave me the electoral count or whatever. And I was like, okay, I was fine. And then I woke up and I got ready for work. And then I went in my daughter's room.
Right.
Okay. And she was the one that was crying. She was the one. Now, remember, this was 8 years ago, right? So my daughter was the one that was watching me bawling my eyes out in 2016 and not really. When Donald Trump was elected president the first time in 2016, I had driven home from KGO and I was bawling when I came into the door. And I remember I walked into my daughter's room and I was giving her a goodnight kiss and I was singing her Bob Marley's Everything's Gonna Be All Right, because Three Little Birds, because that's what I sang to her every night. And I was crying and she's like, what's wrong, Mama? I'm like, nope. And I just sang her this song and she always remembers that. And I was just so upset. And then I got in this huge fight with my dad the next morning because he's a big old Trumper and he was rubbing it in my face, right? That's what happened. It was terrible. No good, terrible. So the next morning I wake up, this morning after this election, and my daughter's the one that's upset.
Yep.
And so I'm consoling her and I'm like, it's okay. And I was actually really proud. I was like, even though I felt for her, because I understood, but I was like, I'm so proud of you for one, caring. And she, you know why she was crying? Because my gay niece who lives in Kentucky is scared of living in Kentucky, right? Because she doesn't want to live in Kentucky under Donald Trump. She's so scared of what's going to happen to her and, you know, all of that. And I was like, well, you know, she doesn't have to live in Kentucky forever and those sorts of things. But I was really, really proud. And she's like, and she's begging me to take, you know, she's like, take me to school, because she didn't want my dad to take her, because my dad takes her. And my dad has grown. I will say this. Oh, there's my daughter.
Oh, there she is.
There she is. And And so I texted my dad, who has grown over the past several years, and I texted him, I'm like, look, don't say anything. I said, congratulations, you must be happy.
Right.
I was like, do me a favor, though. My daughter takes after me. She's really upset. Don't mention anything about the freaking election. And he didn't.
That's
and
nice.
he didn't.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of growth that has happened over the last 8 years. He did not mention anything. But I was proud of you. I was very proud of you, Marley Joe.
I could tell Julia really was affected as
you.
well.
Okay. You can go now. You can stop dancing on camera.
She walked out as I'm watching the election results late in the evening on election night. And I said, it doesn't look good. And she just kind of walked out and she stood there with this look on her face. And I said, are you okay? And she went, whatever, I don't care. Right. And she went back to bed. And the next day, we knew then that, Trump was declared the winner and it was a done deal. And we're at the kitchen table and I said, you need to do your chemistry homework. And she goes, what's the point? What's the point? She goes, first they took my rights, my female rights away from me. And the next thing they're going to take the right to go to school away. So why should I even bother, Mom? Why should I even bother? They don't care about women in this country. She's thinking it's going to be like the Taliban, right? No, because they just got done with a unit on Malala. So she's thinking like, this is where we're headed. And I'm thinking, she's thinking, what's the point of doing homework? How do you explain to a 15-year-old girl who's just realizing for the first time that she really is a second-class citizen and that there are a lot of people that don't really care about her or her health or how she does in this world? How do you explain that one?
That you just keep fighting. That's how you explain it to her. The women of her generation that are still alive today fought for her rights and will continue to. And thank you, Nick, for the $25 donation. You ladies making very good points tonight. You two should do a TED Talk. Thank you, Nick. We really appreciate it. And also Chris B for the $5 super sticker. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We cannot do it without you guys. Chris also says my daughter will turn 18 in 2028. So glad she'll be able to vote for her own interests. And that's what I told my daughter too, Chris. Is like, you get a vote in the next presidential election. That's where I put my hope. And you know what was really funny? My daughter doesn't know this because I look at her Instagram because I have access to her Instagram account.
Of course you do. That's smart.
She private messaged Donald Trump. She's like, I seriously hate you.
Careful. She's going to end up on the bad girl list headed to Guantanamo.
It was so funny. I was like that's the thing that's going to turn him around. You know what I mean? But I was so proud. I had like a little warm in my heart. I was like, you know what? That's a good message. But yeah, she's like, I seriously hate you.
I was really proud of Julia because she's part of this broadcast journalism TV class in high school. And she went out on election day and did this non-partisan interview of election people that were overseeing the election, the inspectors and poll workers, and how to vote and how you should register if you're 16 so that you get all your paperwork. It was a really good report. I was so impressed by it. And I could tell at that point that she started caring when she went to the polls and started interviewing election inspectors, that she cared about the process. And I guess that's the takeaway here, is that there is hope for the future, that girls just realized what happened to them, and perhaps seeing a woman run and seeing a woman lose for this variety of reasons, among them misogyny in this country and racism in this country. I think I would add those two things into the list. Maybe they'll rise above that and they'll realize that maybe Kamala Harris lost and maybe Hillary Clinton lost, but that those were the women that opened the doors for them to win. So here's hoping.
I mean, I think that there's always going to be this demographic of Trump supporters that are just trolls, right? That we need to really, those Nick Fuentes guys, like he posted on X, like, your body, my choice, forever.
You're seeing this all over the place. Your body, my choice. And some people, and then I saw this one, Clark Reed actually posted this group, and where women were saying, not if I don't, let you have access to it. And some men are saying, we don't need your permission. What happened to us Now we
But
went
that's
really
not
took a wrong
representative
turn.
of all men. And that's what we need to keep
Wow.
it. Like, we need to keep this in perspective. Like, I saw something on like a Texas college campus where like it said something like homosexuality is a sin and women are property. Those are trolls, okay?
Yeah.
And we cannot allow that to be representative of not only all Republicans, but obviously America, right?
But you're
We need to
making
call
my
that out.
point. You're making my earlier point,
Yeah,
which is giving air to they're eating the dogs and cats, which is
right.
giving air to like trans issues. When really, in the scheme of things, there's the priority list is that's not on the high on the list for many of
Mhm.
us. It's like you have these trolls that are sticking these issues in just to make make people stew about it, and that's
Right.
not what's really concerning. I don't. It's the same
Well,
thing.
yeah, and this is the other thing, and as all these Republicans are saying that they've extended an olive branch to liberals, what I would challenge my Republican friends is that when you see something like women are property, or
Hmm.
something like Nick Fuentes saying your body, my choice forever, call that out. Because if you don't,
Hmm.
then it seems like you're okay with it. And saying, oh, it's just a joke. Well, not at a time like this. And they're like, oh, you guys are snowflakes. Understand that if you're trying to be a uniter, like everyone, Joe Rogan came out and was saying Donald Trump should really try to unite this country. If you really believe that, if Donald Trump really wants to be, which I don't know if he really truly could ever be, but if you really believe that, if Republicans really do believe that they've extended the olive branch, then you need to call out this kind of stuff, because that's what I'm talking about. Because otherwise, trolls, the dogs, the eating, all that kind of crap, that will represent you. So then don't look at us when we call you these names, because you don't call out those sorts of things. And Marilyn, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Marilyn.
I covered that other comment. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Marilyn. I don't know. I want people to call out the BS, and we need to stop elevating comments that are hateful. Let's stop. Just stop.
Sandy writes, I still keep hoping it's a bad dream and I'll wake up any minute now. For the last 2 days, I was still throwing down prayers. As a matter of fact, I had at one point bargained with God on election night that I would not drink wine or eat chocolate for a year. To me, that was a big thing. I'm like, okay,
Right.
no wine, no chocolate for a year. Just give her a shot. Didn't happen.
I think the thing that I'm
As
also
you can
scared.
tell, deals off.
I mean, I think the other thing that I'm scared about is the appointments, right? Like obviously the judicial, the judges, the Supreme
Right.
Court.
Mhm.
But also like, who is he going to put in his cabinet? So obviously the chief of staff, that's Wiles woman, is the chief of staff, but RFK Jr.
Over
Right?
all
Like-
Health and Human Services and the FDA. Are you kidding me?
Like, and then getting rid of the
Come
Department of
on.
Education. The Department of Education has only been around since what? The late 70s. Okay. So it's not like it's been set in stone since the formation of the country. But I
Mhm.
will say this. Okay. I understand this whole idea of like reducing government, right? That there's redundancies and things like that. My fear is Donald Trump's concepts of plans,
Mhm.
like the repeal and replace. You can't take something away as large as, let's say, the Department of Education with nothing to replace it,
Well,
while
Elon Musk,
children's education is still happening.
Elon
What-
Musk says, it's going to hurt for a while. And I would argue this, that if you take away the Department of Education, which I don't agree with doing, most education, most of the, making sure that all 11th graders learn the same things in 11th grade across the
Right.
state, setting the standards,
Standards,
all of
yes.
these things happen at a state level. So taking away the Department of Education, it's not my biggest one. I'm more worried about the EPA, clean
Mm.
water, clean air, no rules for
FDA.
anyone. The FDA, what are you buying when you go to the grocery store? I guess it's anybody's guess. Who do we trust?
Who do we
There are no
trust?
standards for anyone.
Exactly.
And again, now I'm prioritizing the list of what could go wrong, right?
Right? Like, grow your own friggin' food then, I guess. Like, I don't know. Thank you,
Can
Jim, for the $5 donation also, by the way.
Oh,
Sorry.
nice. Thank you, Jim. Can you imagine if Dave's right, though, going from Pete Buttigieg for transportation secretary to Hulk Hogan?
It's
I don't
another
think that's going to
fine.
happen, but come on.
That's another fine. It's like, okay, fine. See what happens. Like, it's
Right.
not as if I want things to go to hell, but it's
Right.
not like these people that voted for Trump aren't also living in this world, right? So fine. You guys have to live in this world too. You have to live with the consequences of your vote as well. We're all on this effing boat together. Fine. Your Social Security, your investments, your gas prices, your water, your air, your food.
Yep.
So, okay, fine. Show me. Show me.
But Nikki, Trump says this is going to be the golden age.
Fine. 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 That's why I keep saying it. I have said fine so many effing times over the past 2 days. Fine. And you know what, Kim? I'll say this. I'm going to be like a little Bill O'Reilly here. Fine. If things are so effing good,
Yeah,
I'll admit it. How about that? You have it. It's
sure.
freaking. If it's November 7th, 2024, if it's so effing good, and I am rich sitting here, and my food is so deliciously clean, and the air is great, and my healthcare is fabulous. If everything is so effing good, and the economy hasn't crumbled because we've mass deported every illegal immigrant that there ever was, and we don't have internment camps everywhere, and nobody's lost their fundamental rights, and the world isn't on fire.
Yep.
Fine. I'll admit I'm wrong.
It's a date.
Fine.
Thursday, November 7th of 2028.
Fine.
We'll reconvene to see
Fine.
if 4 years our life was any
Fine.
better under Trump.
Fine.
I have a
I
feeling
will
it's
admit
not
it.
going to
I
be,
will
but hey,
happily admit that I am wrong.
You know what?
Happily.
wouldn't
Fine.
that be nice though if we were wrong?
Yes,
I
want to be
wanna
wrong, because I don't want this world to
Jinx.
go to hell.
I
Yes.
want to be wrong. I
Yes.
want our country to be better. I don't want a national
Fine.
abortion ban. I want things to be okay for all of us.
Yes.
But you know what? I saw today, actually last night, an article in Rolling Stone talking about how they tried to distance themselves, the Republicans, the conservatives, the Trumpians, from
Mhm.
Project 2025. Oh, that's not us. We don't know about that. What? Trump says, I don't know.
Now
That's
they're like,
not-
oh yeah, let's put the people in charge.
the day after
Yeah.
the election, they are lauding Project 2025 and
Of
saying,
course.
and now we can put this plan into motion.
Right.
Lie, liars who lie.
The framers of it. The
Mhm.
framers of it. Oh yeah. Of course. Of course. Of course. So fine. Fine. Because again, everything that they want is still going to impact all Americans. Again, we're all on the same boat. We're all on the same freaking boat.
I love this from the Lady Beatrice. Trump is like the emperor in Star Wars. Just when you think you're free of him, he comes back.
Exactly. It's nuts. And somebody else said this is what Katniss felt like on the Hunger Games when she had to go back out there. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I got to do this
You have to
again.
laugh. It's crazy.
It's like, what?
I got an email from our friend Noe.
Oh,
and
good. No,
she is
Marie.
in absolute despair.
Oh,
She
baby.
can't eat. She can't sleep.
Oh,
She's
sweetie.
worried about her kids being drafted and sent to some weird war. She's
Mhm.
worried about her daughter and her daughter's rights and what happens. She's worried about all of these things to the point where
Right.
she's driving herself
Crazy.
insane with worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, and I don't advocate sticking your head in the sand completely
Of course
and
not.
not knowing what's going on, but at some point we have to take care of our mental health. We can't
Yes.
24/7
Disconnect a little bit.
the world
Yes.
is going to be set on fire and we're all going to go down with the ship. At some point we have to be smart about it. We have to prepare,
Yes.
but we also have to go, okay, listen, there have been
Breathe.
times in American history where
Yes.
we've gone through some right? We had a civil
course.
war. We had some bad stuff. We had slavery. I mean, we had horrifying things happen in this country, and presidents we disagreed with, and elections that were, made in candidates that were elected in backroom deals. This is early history, and so we can get through this too. I think we can get through this too. We're gonna carry this load together. And we're
Mhm.
going to get through this. So if you're just so disappointed and so distraught, don't let that weigh you down. We can't afford to be weighed down by that right now.
Exactly. And Chris has some great news. I mean, McCaffrey's back on Sunday. I mean, are you jinxing it? Because I know that he didn't have any injuries during practice. It hasn't been decided. It's a game day decision, Chris. Let's not jinx it, my friend. Okay. Anyways, we just have to throw some 49er news.
I love everyone's adopting your fine. Let's see it.
But again, that's why I'm saying fine. That's what I'm telling all Trump supporters. Fine. And I say it. I go, I laundry list. I'm like, fine.
We're going to get this again. Sandy says the thing I hated most about the previous Trump administration was the constant feeling of chaos. Remember that waking up every day wondering what he was going to tweet? Like, what do I have to report today? Right? We're going to have that again. We're going to have that again.
Fine.
Maud says maybe the comet finally comes. No.
Wipes us
all out.
I'm just fine. And that's it. I'm fine. Fine. It's like the dog in the fire, right? Fine. Everything's fine. No, it's not everything's fine, but fine. Show me.
Well, already apparently Trump's economic policies are having causing some cutbacks at some companies. Rhonda writes, Pennsylvania manufacturing employees just found out no bonuses due to tariffs. Company had to explain tariffs to employees.
Was that true though? I saw it as a meme. Was there a news story? I saw it as a meme. And I was like, was it actually true? I don't know. Like no Christmas bonuses because we have to buy all this stuff before the year end. Look, let's just wait again. Let's just see. Because again, the tariffs haven't started yet. Again, he could be totally full of crap. Because remember, build the wall, Mexico pays for it. We paid for it, right? We paid for it, right? Lock her up, never locked her up. Mass deportations, right? Like, I hope it's not mass deportations because that is going to look insane if it actually happened. So let's see if Trump talks out of his big behind. And what he actually does. By the way,
I'm not seeing that story. I'm not seeing that story.
It was a meme. That's why I'm like
any reputable source. Yeah, no.
It was on Facebook. It was like this dark black thing. It's like, this. So I don't know if it's actually true.
Yeah.
But I have seen that a lot on Facebook that some Pennsylvania guy sat everyone down. Like, no Christmas bonuses because I had to buy a bunch of stuff before the tariffs hit. So I don't know if it's actually true, but I could see it being true, possibly.
So in Project 2025. Includes a national abortion ban. So I have to take them at their word, right? When they tell you who they are, believe them. So I'm believing that this is a possibility, despite the fact that we live in California. So what do we do to prepare? Well, I feel like I am going to purchase several boxes of Plan B.
Okay.
Which is an emergency contraceptive.
Right.
You need a prescription for mifepristone, which is the abortion pill. So I'm going to load up on some Plan B.
Okay.
And I will tell my girls, my daughter and her friends, and their mothers, that if anyone has an emergency and that we can't get a hold, and we're at a point where, we're now in home reproductive care, that I have a stash. These things don't expire for the next 4 years. And we both have 15-year-old girls. So if whatever happens in 6 months, you can't get a hold of these things, I'll at least have a stash.
Right.
Little things like that make me feel better. And maybe it's dumb, but at least I feel like I'm somehow preparing for the, squirreling away my toilet paper for the pandemic kind of thing, right?
Right. Well, Governor Newsom says he's trying to Trump-proof California with some state laws.
That's what I'm doing. Trump-proofing my house.
So he says he's giving the Attorney General's office more funding to fight federal challenges. Let's see. So are other states as well. I just feel like, a lot of people are putting the attention on Newsom because they think that he's the next. Look, it's not going to be a California person that's going to be the next Democratic president of the United States. It's not. So get Newsom out of your freaking head. It ain't going to happen, especially not next. We're not going to go from Kamala freaking Harris to Newsom. That is not going to happen.
The country just told us they don't like California liberals.
No, and Newsom Newsom can throw his expertise and support and be one of those talking people, but Newsom is not going to be the person that's going to be the next Democratic candidate for president. Please. That would be the worst choice ever. It would be a huge mistake, Chris. Absolutely. Again, we need somebody that speaks middle America. Gavin Newsom does not speak middle America. Gavin Newsom does not look middle America. He does not speak middle America at all. Sandy says, I also really worry that he will repeal Obamacare. I never had health insurance before Obamacare. If he takes that away from me, I don't know what I'll do. I'm getting old. I need health care. I don't think he will. I think, you know what I think he's going to do? This is what I think he's going to do. I think he's just going to take Obama's name off of it and slap his own on it. That's what I really think he's going to do. I think he's going to literally take it all away and then put the same thing back in with his name on it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a plan. He has zero plan.
There's a concept.
He has a concept of a plan. It's going to look just like Obamacare.
Plan B is, and it's like a cocktail of contraceptives. It's like taking a bunch of birth control pills at once, and it prevents a zygote from attaching to the uterus.
It stops the pregnancy from happening.
Right. So if you had unprotected sex one day, you knew that you did, whether it was, by your own doing or whether you were attacked or whatever happened to you, within the next however many hours, I don't know how many hours, is 24 or 48, if you take this Plan B bill, and there's also, I'm told by a sex educator that I know for Kaiser, she said there's also a recipe of birth control pills. She was going to look into it for me of what you could do with that. But yeah, so it will prevent the pregnancy or the zygote from implanting and thereby keep you from getting pregnant.
Rev P says moving to the right doesn't help our side. Can I show you guys a picture though? This picture, I don't know how I feel about it. Okay. This is California. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened between 2020 and 2016, or 2020 and 2024. Okay. Now I understand that the coast has all the people, like a lot of the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of land in between.
Yeah. Look how
but
dark
this is what
blue
happened.
San Francisco is in Marin. Look how dark blue that is, like navy.
Okay. But I'm going to tell you that there's 10 counties, 10 that flipped from blue to red. 10 counties that went from blue to red.
And the crazy thing about that, if you look at the map, is those counties are in the Central Valley mostly, the center part of the state, which is huge in agriculture. So they know they need immigrants to do the manual labor.
Exactly.
And they're screwed without them. So why would they vote against themselves in this regard? I don't know.
Now, let me ask you a question. How would you feel if this map didn't look blue and didn't look red, but looked purple?
I'm proud of us for embracing things that make sense. If it were more purple, if it were more, it's already a bummer to me that so much of it turned red.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be a little sad, a little disillusioned, and maybe frightened for the future of California.
Yeah. I don't mind purple. I feel like purple means compromise, right? I feel like purple means, every time I see purple, this is what I always feel like. And I know this is totally naive. I feel like purple means fiscally responsible, socially liberal. That's what and it's totally naive to think that. I know.
Especially since it was the Republican that left us with a worse debt. And it's the Republican that economists say, this thing is worse for the economy, for the nation. So I don't know if you're right on that.
It's not. No, and it's naive to think that, because honestly, Democrats always leave a better economy. They do. Historically, if you look at it, a Democratic presidents always leave a better economy to Republican presidents that F it up. They do. And it always pisses me off. Thank you, James, so much for the $5 donation. We love the super stickers, and thank you guys so much for the support. And then Republicans take credit for it, like Donald Trump. I started off my presidency with the best economy. It was not your economy. It wasn't your economy. And then he's like, oh, my tax cuts. They sunsetted during Biden's presidency because you wrote it into the friggin' thing that way. You knew what you were doing. You had it sunset just in case that you didn't win re-election, and you knew that it was going to sunset during Biden's presidency.
Yeah.
We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. Fine. Yes, exactly. I should put that on a shirt. Maybe I'll make it for Christmas. But I'm telling you, it's
maybe
just...
that's the new coffee cup, right?
That's the new... Yeah, that's fine. Fine. It's just... That's what you have to tell your Republican friends. And as Donald Trump's presidency progresses, it works because fine if it were honestly, if things get better, fine, right? Fine. And if it doesn't, what the hell, right? Where is it? Where is all the promises that he made? Because the truth of the matter is Donald Trump can't be president again. And he's old anyways. Like my daughter was so scared that he was going to be president again. I'm like, Marley, he's old. And
yeah,
okay.
but then what about Vance? Let's talk
Okay,
about Vance.
this is the thing. Okay, so I'm so glad you brought this up. Everyone's saying, oh my God, Vance. Oh my God, Vance. Here's the thing. There was an article about like Donald Trump and then this other Senate race and how much of a distance in votes there was. Here's the thing. There's Donald Trump and then there's other Republicans. And I don't know what it is about Donald Trump, but then there's other Republicans. He just has something that other Republicans want, but do not have. And I am telling you, JD Vance is not charismatic.
Oh, not at all.
So while he might, now this is the worry, is obviously the people that they set up and the cabinets and all that, that might like obviously take control. The rallying of people and that sort of thing, I don't think JD Vance has it. So it could fall apart. You know what I mean? But yeah, I understand the worry. I understand the worry.
Look at him like the second coming of Donald Trump. Trump supported him and lifted him up, so we'll rally around him. He is an empty
I'm more
vessel.
scared of Elon Musk than
He doesn't
JD
even know
Vance.
who he is. The good thing about Elon Musk is he wasn't born here. He's an immigrant.
But
So
he has
can't
control
run
of Twitter and social media.
True.
And he has a
And
lot of money.
Well, one would argue that he bought the presidency. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely
So he might have control of America, but he can't sit in that chair. Thank the
It
good
doesn't
Lord for
matter. He
something.
has the ear of the president. He was in that picture. He was in the family picture and Melania wasn't. Did you see that?
No.
There was a family photo after the election. Oh my God, I'm going to find it.
You find it.
Melania
was
was
not
not
happy
in the picture and Elon Musk was. I can't even believe it. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to show you this picture. Elon Musk is in the picture and Melania's not even freaking there. It's very small. You can't see it. Oh no, this isn't the one. Yeah, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is holding the baby right on the right. See the woman on the far right?
Can you make
Elon
it
Musk
bigger?
is. I can't. This is as big as I can make it. Elon Musk is okay. So if you look at the far right, there's a woman who looks like she's wearing a sheer top. The guy in the tie holding the kid is Elon Musk. Melania is not in this picture at all.
Wow.
She is
She
not
was probably
there.
like, I'm out of here. She didn't look happy on stage either. You know, they kissed each other on the cheek, and she was like, the look on her face is like, damn it.
She does not want to be there.
Keeps on a winning.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
she's
he's born with
pissed.
it. Maybe it's JD Vance.
Ugh, JD Vance is gross. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Ivanka was there, which sucks, but whatever.
You know what it is about JD Vance that freaks me out is he doesn't know who he is. He's changed his name several times and not for really valid reasons. He's changed his opinions. First he says Trump's a Nazi, now he likes Trump. It feels to me like he becomes and morphs into whatever will be most successful for him.
He's like the wind. He's like the wind. You know what I mean? Like whatever. And he's not charismatic.
Yeah.
I don't find Trump charismatic, but people do. You see what I'm saying? Like he has that super, I'm going to say superstar because he's the television, all that kind of crap. So, and he's been around for a long time. So JD Vance is not Donald Trump. There's no politicians that are Donald Trump. You know, I can't believe Boebert got reelected. MTG got reelected. Like, what the hell?
Eric says Biden better put plastic on the White House sofas.
Ew.
And that's what they're doing, though, not the plastic, but they're trying to plan ahead for Trump as well. Like, what can we do to make the things that we've done more permanent? What can we do to safeguard some of these things?
Democrats don't do anything that safeguards anything. We are such rule followers. Biden is not going to do anything.
No.
Nothing. We don't do that. We don't do that. That's not our MO. You know what I mean?
I saw this meme yesterday where, and it's funny, I was telling Mark about it off the air, and he said, this is the most asinine thing that I have ever seen or heard. And here's what it said: Joe needs to resign,
Oh, and make
sending Kamala to the
Kamala.
presidency for the
Right.
last 2 months,
Yep.
making her the 47th president.
Yeah.
Then while she's there, she can sign executive orders, codify Roe v. Wade, which you have to do with Congress, right? Set term limits for the Supreme Court. I don't know if she could do that either. And she would be able to do all of this legally since the Supreme Court ruled that a sitting president is above the law. She could conceivably order recounts and find more votes without fear of criminality. She could change the rules for an election, so anyone with a convicted felony on their record wouldn't ever be able to run or be sworn in for any office in the land. She could give Trump a taste of his own medicine without any repercussions whatsoever. Democrats don't play that way.
No,
We don't do
we
that.
don't do that.
Mm-mm.
That's why we concede races. That's why we do peaceful transfers of, power. That's why we
Because
we
we
do
know what's
these
good for the
things
country. Yeah.
for the good of the country. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why. And everyone was like, oh my God, you know why there were so many votes for Biden? It's because they cheated. That's the evidence. No, it's not. There was a historic turnout. And going back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of this show, right? About how we talk. You know why there was so much of a turnout? And you want to know why Biden won? It's because we didn't talk about unity. It's because we didn't talk about hope. We talked about fear. We got people to the polls because we scared the living shit out of them about Donald Trump.
Mhm.
That's what people got. That's how we got Democrats to the polls. We
But-
scared the living shit out of them.
But
And that's
Kamala
what got
Harris,
them there.
she had a message of unity. She even said, listen,
But we
I'll
didn't
bring-
scare
I'll-
people
I'll
enough.
give you a conservative seat at the table. I want to listen to you. He wants to put us in jail. I want to listen to the other side.
kumbaya. No
No.
more kumbaya. Democrats
Mm.
need to stop with the kumbaya. We're done. Like, I'm telling you, like, we need to change how we talk to people. We need to stop with these flowery, we can still believe in that. Okay. I'm not
Mhm.
saying give it up, but when we're running for president, stop. Listen to what people want. What do you want? And I'm just going to bring up eggs, right? Okay, so people are talking about eggs. Talk about eggs. Stop with everything else. If people are talking about a certain issue, talk about that
Mhm.
freaking issue. Stop with the, everything else. Stop with the hope and the change and the inclusion. Stop with the celebrity songs. We don't need Lady Gaga. We don't need friggin' Beyonce. What we need is to talk about the issues that people are talking about on the ground.
I have to
That's
admit,
it.
I really did like the Beyonce.
I did too. I love the Lady Gaga too. But that's not getting us votes. We had all the celebrities. We had all the moving songs and all the moving speeches, and it got us bullshit. It got us nothing. It got us less votes. Okay? Stop. We need to
Mhm.
stop with that. We need to stop thinking it's a popularity contest because the celebrities like us and Jimmy Kimmel likes us. And oh my God, stop. We're deluding ourselves. We're deluding ourselves, the hope and the change. And because we feel like we're on the right side of history, because we are. Okay. Not saying we're not. Not saying that we don't have a good message. Not saying that we're not. That's not going to get people to the polls.
Yeah.
That's not the game. Play the game. Republicans know how to play the game. And we seem to think that because we have this great vision, that means we win, and it doesn't. And it's costing us our future. And we need to stop it. No, and I'm not saying like be mean, but what I'm saying is, Maud says, yes, that sounds righteous, Nikki, but the only way to destroy evil is to be evil. If you can imagine evil being destroyed, would you be appalled at that stance is the question.
You
What
want to
I'm
get
sa-
down dirty? You want to drag your knuckles in the mud just like they do?
Don't bring a feather to a gunfight. Okay. We're not going to bring a pillow and kumbaya and sit there. Okay. This isn't the 60s.
So you're saying
Okay.
when they go low, we go high isn't working for you?
We knew that wasn't working. We knew that wasn't working. We knew that wasn't. Okay. We actually kind of tried it a little bit, right? We didn't go all in. Look, we need to talk about what people care about. And I'm also saying this. I'm also saying like we need it's not extending an olive branch, but it's hold on.
Yeah. As she yells at Nugget, I'll say Mario writing, people are tired of Democrats always trying to be polite, always trying to be politically correct, right? And maybe what America wants is the ugliness. And I have to say, I don't want that. I kind of like that we're the classy group, but I
No,
guess it doesn't work.
what does that get you? Do we get a button that says, "Oh yay, we're the classy group" as we sit there losing elections? We don't get anything for that, Kim. We
Mhm.
don't get anything for that. Okay, look, this is what we need to do. What we need to do is we need to not extend an olive branch because I do also think that we need to call out the misogyny and the racism. And we need to call out Republicans that don't call out that, right? Like, if
Mhm.
that's not who you are, if you're not a racist, if you're not fascist or whatever, then call out people that are on your party. Okay. We need to call that out. So at least we have a baseline of what's not acceptable. But when they have an issue, right? Just like let's take immigration, right? When they're complaining, if they're in Arizona or New Mexico or whatever, Texas, and they're complaining and they're complaining and they're complaining, and we're like, you're complaining because you're racist. We're dismissing issues that matter to them. That's not fair. It's not fair. And that's our fault. And we need to come to terms with that. We dismiss people with terms like you're racist and you're not welcoming. And that's wrong. And that's losing us votes. So we need to listen to them. We need to figure out a way to compromise with them. And we need to come up with a solution because this is a gigantic country. And just because we don't live down there doesn't mean that we don't need to be part of the solution. And if we don't, and if we stay in our liberal bubble and we call people names, we're going to lose election after election after election.
When do you stand up for what's right, though? When do you
But what
stand
is
up
right?
against racism and bullying and,
But
you
is it
know,
racist to not want?
denigrating Haitians when they're not doing what they're
Of course,
accused of
so
doing?
that
When do you
obviously,
stand
yes.
up for
That
people?
is wrong. That is, but that's what I'm saying. Like, call it out when that is. But when there's an issue, is it wrong to say, I don't want to have 100,000 illegal immigrants, right? Migrants that are trying to figure out whether they can be in the country or not in my town. Is that wrong to say that? Is it wrong, Kim? Is it wrong?
Is it
Because
wrong to
you
say
don't
you
deal with
don't want
it.
thousands of migrants in your town?
Is it wrong to say that?
I don't think it's wrong to say that they're, point out the reasons why. You can't say I don't want them because they're brown people, but
No.
you can say it's hard to have this many people in town when we don't have enough schools and we
Right.
don't have enough roads and we
But
don't
if
have
it's
enough
month after
food.
month after month and nobody's
Yeah.
doing anything about it, and then you
Mhm.
call out your president and there's still nothing done, and then
Mhm.
they're sitting in your schools and still nothing's done, and then people are calling you racist because still something's not done, and you're
Mhm.
done being called a racist because something's still not done, you could understand why the
Yeah.
frustration happens, and that's why we get here. And
Vicky's
so
like,
I
"I
feel
am
like
not
we're annoying.
compromising with MAGA. I am not," she says.
I'm not saying compromise with
Mhm.
MAGA. What I'm saying is understand the issues that people are complaining about that we might be ignoring. Understand that we might be ignoring issues because we don't live there.
Mhm.
I mean, to think that we understand the issues of everybody in every state, I think is really naive.
Yeah.
And that's why we are where we are. I really do think that. Is this not a wake up call for you guys? Come on. Come on. I have to wake you guys up. We are missing something here.
Okay, but we didn't think there was anything wrong with us until a day and a half ago.
Right. We are
So
in the
how do you
minority
how
here.
do you get to the point where you're like, everything I think is wrong?
No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
what we think is wrong. What I'm
Mhm.
thinking is we are not hearing a certain segment of America.
Yeah,
And I'm
that I
not saying
agree with.
everything that they think is right, but
Right.
we're not addressing something
Mhm.
here. We're not addressing something. Now, I'm not saying everything that they think is right. But what I'm saying is there's issues that we're not hearing.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody that voted for Donald Trump is absolutely crazy. There are crazy MAGA people, don't get me wrong. But there's issues. We have to address those issues, Democrats, if we want people to vote Democratic again. There's people that voted for Biden that didn't this time. There's a reason for that. That's what we need to address. That's what I'm talking about. Why didn't they vote for Biden or for Kamala Harris this time, besides misogyny or whatever? We did not address something with them, and we need to figure out why. And if we don't, and we're just like, it's because they're racist or it's because they're sexist, then we're being naive. We're being naive.
Ricky says, I know I can exist without compromising with those who are intolerant and bigoted.
I'm not saying to say that you can be racist and bigoted. What I'm saying is, listen to what they're saying. What is your issue? Right? So let's, again, I keep talking about the border because that seems to be one of the biggest issues.
Sure.
What is your issue? What is your issue? Right? What is your biggest problem with it? Because again, I always think, especially if you live in the Bay Area, like I love Bay Area people that complain about the border. What is your issue? Oh, they're coming here stealing jobs. Which jobs? The jobs that white men are hiring them for?
Right.
Right? At the construction site right over there that white guy hired him for?
And are they really taking the jobs that you're applying for?
That they hired them for. So let's who do you have the problem with? The general contractor that hired them for the job? Call out that guy then.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just be fair in the critique. I understand people that live in border towns. I want to have a conversation with them, not these Bay Area people that are freaking complaining in their $1 million freaking homes. Bite me.
Rev says we cannot become the other side. We can promote policies that are acceptable to the majority. A progressive populist can do that. No more Cheneys and pretending to be a Republican. I'm not a Republican in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, Vicky, in what way am I wrong? In what way am I wrong? Like specifically, like what am I saying that's wrong? And I'm not attacking you, Vicky, because I love you on the show. But what am I saying? Like, we need to talk about the specific issues.
And maybe they feel attacked.
But Angel, I'm not saying 73 million people are racist, deplorable, uneducated, or sexist. What I am saying is that when some Republicans are acting racist, deplorable, and misogynistic, if the Republicans don't call that out, you can understand why people think they're that.
Vicky says you just don't placate a bully.
But they're not all bullies, Vicky. That's what I'm saying. Like, if there's an issue, you have to discuss it with them. Like, again, we can't lump everybody in. Just like Angel said, I'm not lumping everybody into the same bubble. I'm talking about specific issues. We have to listen to each other. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying all Republicans are racist, misogynistic, and bigoted. What I am saying is if a Republican does not call out racist, misogynistic, fascist activities within your party, then you're saying it's okay. Call it out. Don't call it a joke when it offends people. That's my problem with the party, Angel. That's my problem. If you think it's okay, it's not okay. And it's not okay on the other side either. Like, we need to just have a baseline of appropriate behavior. And if the president says things that are wrong, it shouldn't be sloughed off as a joke because he's the president of the United States. There should be a bar of behavior for the president of the United States. There should be a bar. I think Donald Trump should be held to a higher standard than any other American. And I am sick and tired of Donald Trump being given a pass. Oh, he was joking. Oh, that's just the way he talks. Bullshit. I am done with that.
We're not ready to get 4 more years of it.
And that's not okay anymore. He's the president of the United States. He should not be allowed. If I'm not allowed to name call, right? If I'm not allowed to name call and I'm not allowed to say fascist, racist, certain things, neither is he. And if he does, he should be called out by his party. And I'm done with the placating. Oh, that's just the way he talks.
But they won't.
No.
They won't because that's just Trump.
And if his party and his supporters don't call him out for that, then they're
Mhm.
not allowed to call out anybody else for that because obviously you don't care about those things.
Mhm.
That's the problem. If you're not going to hold your president to a certain standard, then why should I hold anybody else to that standard? So let's just hold him to the standard. Everybody. Let's hold everybody to the standard.
Mhm.
Let's not use name calling. Let's not use racist, whatever terms. Everybody, including the president. Let's just agree to that. And if we can agree to that, then we can move on.
Mhm.
How about that? Can we do that? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, let's just.
We're not going to have an us and a them, or we will have an us and a them, as long as we are getting completely different information.
Exactly. And again, we need to just agree on certain. And this is another thing that I want to try, Kim. I
Mhm.
want to understand situations from a Republican point of view. And this is what we're going to do as Donald Trump becomes president.
Mhm.
We're going to listen to exactly what he says.
Yep.
Okay? Because this is what I think happened sometimes, not all the times, is the sound bites, right? Oh, we played the light inside the body, right? And everyone played the light inside the body, even though that is what he said, right?
Mhm.
I want to listen to exactly what he said. And then all you Republicans that watch my show, I want you to come on and you explain to me what he said. Go ahead. What did he say? Right? Because I heard it and you heard it. Right? And I don't want any so what he meant to say. No more of this what he meant to say BS. I am so sick and tired of people deciphering what the president of the United States meant to say. He's the president of the United States. What he says is what he says. No more. Right? He's done this before. It's none of this, oh, he's never been president before. So, he kind of talks off the cup. No, he's done this before. What he says is what he says. I'm going to take it at face value. Okay? So that's it.
So
That's it.
here's what I think. Jennifer says, talk past the MAGA people to the people who can hear and know when you are hearing them. The 12 million people that flipped their vote.
Right.
I read it from Wes earlier. I've heard it from you today, but I would say this, and I know that it's negative Nelly, and I'm so sorry that I can't be more positive like I normally am. But what they say to you is what they will say to us is, well, our guy won. We don't need to listen to you. Why would we even care about putting an olive branch out? We don't need to find common ground
Some
with
people
you.
are saying
Obviously,
that.
we're in the majority. Why would we need to do that? So again, here we are talking ourselves till we're blue in the face.
Yep.
When they don't care about our message and they don't care about it, what they're saying is clearly what you think doesn't matter.
And that's when I say what my one word. And that's when I say my word. Fine.
Fine.
Fine. Then show me. If you don't want to extend an olive branch to me, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then Trump's platform better deliver. Fine.
Yeah.
Trump's going to deliver the economy. I'm going to have hella cash in my bank account. The water's going to be great. Healthcare is going to be cheaper and better, right? Everything he's promised me, the mass deportations are not going to be at S show, right? The economy is not going to crater because of how much we depend on all of these migrants for
Right.
everything. Grocery prices aren't going to skyrocket because of it. Fine, fine, fine. Show me. And I will eat crow if all of that happens. Fine.
It won't happen.
But
It won't
fine. If it
happen.
does, fine.
Here's the question. How bad does it have to get when we're like, fine, and we're writing down on the scorecard, you failed at this, you said you'd do this, you said you'd do that, the water is dirty, the air is filthy, the rights are taken away, blah, blah, blah. How bad does it have to get for people to fall out of that cult of Trump?
We have 4 years. That's what it's going to be. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's what it is. And that's why I just say, fine, fine. You guys, all you Trump voters say that it's going to be fabulous. Fine. Show me. Show me that it's not going to be a racist, fascist, misogynistic hellhole that Democrats are so afraid of. Fine. Show me that he's not going to be vindictive, right? Show me that there's not going to be internment camps, right? All these fears that the Democrats have, right? Show me that women aren't going to be dying because they can't get health care. Show me. Fine. All of these nightmares. Now, I'm not saying these are going to happen. These are the nightmares that Democrats have, right? Fine. Show me. Fine. That's it. Fine.
What does
There's
FAFO
nothing
mean?
else we can do.
Oh, F around and find out. Never mind. I got it. Josh says he needs a hat that says F around and find out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's not as if
Yeah.
I'm saying give up, right? Like, I will always advocate for what I want, right? I will always do that. I think everybody should do that on any political side. This isn't the end of the world, guys. It's not. All of
LJ
you.
says no. Fine doesn't work for things like Kim Jong-un sending a missile to the United States because Trump got into a tweet war with him, right? That's not fine.
Okay, well, let me ask you, LJ. What are you going to do?
Right.
What are you going to do? He's still our president. So and I'm not going to do the head in the sand thing. What are you going to do? Right? Fine. It is fine. Like,
it's fine because
we have no choice.
What is the saying? America gets the America that America deserves.
That
And while
America
you and
voted
I
for.
might not deserve it, well, we in the chat might not deserve it, as a collective whole, this is what America deserves. This is what America voted for.
This is what America.
This is what America wants.
Overwhelming
fine.
number.
Right.
Fine. You wanted it. You voted for it. Show us. Yeah. I didn't vote for this. But if this is what America wants, if this is what America truly believes is going to lead us to this whatever great, grand, better America, where money's just going to be spilling into our bank accounts and the air is going to be great and eggs are going to be like falling out my ass instead of a chicken's ass, fine. You know what I mean? Like, fine.
LJ says, Trump deporting me to El Salvador after 24 years living here as a legal resident. Fine.
Fine. No, it's not fine. You understand why I'm saying fine, right? Like, LJ, you understand my whole fine thing.
Yeah.
It's a sarcastic fine. Like, I hope you guys understand. My fine is dripping with sarcasm.
Yeah.
But fine. Like, there's nothing we can do, but show me. Show me is what the fine means. Show me. Show me that it's going to be better for all Americans. All Americans. Not certain Americans. Well, all Americans.
Your fine really comes, a full circle with this from Sandy. I wonder how many people will be sorry that they voted for him.
We'll see. We'll see.
We have the tip of the iceberg with women dying. We've just started to see, what we have? I don't know, 7, 8 women in the news that we've heard that they have been denied care and have died because of a child birth or a child carrying mishap, pregnancy mishap. This is just the beginning of this. And so over the next 4 years, if we still have a media, because he's put the target on our back as well, right? We'll hear more and more about it. And hopefully people will say that it's not okay. Even after this vote. And maybe I'm a Pollyanna, Nikki. I have faith that there are more good people than bad. I understand that people are frustrated for a million different reasons, but I have faith that in time we'll see the light and do the right thing. And as you say, what's the alternative? If you don't have that hope, then you circle down the drain of despair. So you've got to find a way to find the hope and lift yourself up.
Exactly. I mean, listen, we have to continue fighting the good fight. We live, a lot of us, I know not all of us watching this show, a lot of us live in California. I know a lot of us are scared that even living in California doesn't protect us from everything. Chris says, fine equals okay, MAGA, let's see what you got. Not hopeful, rather expecting people to be disappointed. It just means show us, put up or shut up. Donald Trump has promised, and MAGA supporters have promised quite the America. Quite the America. And not only that, but a lot of the people are saying, we are not the people that you're name calling us, right? We're not the racist, misogynistic, fascist, hateful people that you call us. Okay, then don't act like it. I'm not going to see any of that, right? I'm not going to see any of that, right? Okay, good. Good. Fine. I'm not going to see any of that. Fabulous. I won't see any of that in any of the policies that Donald Trump puts out after January. Fabulous. I'm so happy. I'm so happy he's going to look out for women's rights because he's going to protect us whether we like it or not. I don't know what that means, of course, but he says that.
Two chats that I wanted to throw your way. Sandy says a lot of people regretted voting for him in 2016. I wonder if any of those people voted for him again in 2024. I would say the problem is they didn't vote. Right?
We did not have the turnout that people are thinking that we had, apparently. Rev P says I have major anxiety. As soon as I open my eyes in the morning, the buzz in my gut starts right back up. I've had to medicate just to sleep 4 more years. It's weird. I have this odd. You guys just really need to adopt this fine thing that I have. I don't know. It's an anger and a sarcastic. I don't know. Maybe after inauguration day, it might change. I still live in this kind of box. Like I'm the cat. I don't know. But again, we have each other, guys. Like we really have each other. Make sure you are subscribed to the show.
Josh. Thanks for the subscription.
Well, and thank you to everybody that has subscribed. We're here every Thursday. We have our cocktails. We go over the news. You know, Jon Stewart said that he's going to continue the Daily Show through 2025.
You saw that.
And he put out a really good thing, you know, also about the same thing, that all the pundits were wrong. And it's true. Like what we know is what we don't know. Like we don't seem to get it right. Like I started the show. Like I was so naive, and I will be the first to admit it. I was so inspired by Kamala Harris, and so were you. I think all of us were so inspired, but we got it so wrong.
Mark was saying she wasn't a good candidate. I liked her.
I loved
her message. I loved her enthusiasm. I love what she would have done for this country.
But we underestimated. We underestimated. So we forgot.
Yeah, right.
We
forgot we're only women. We forgot
we were in America.
We don't like people of color. We forgot that part, right?
We forgot we were in America, I think. Yeah, we really, really did. I want to say a lot of thank yous, guys, because you really supported the show today. Trevor, thank you so much for the $10 10-cent donation. Kim, I love hearing you get political. I wish the After Party Live wasn't so adamantly not political. I love that the After Party Live is not political because
we do it on purpose. Because
Kim
we have
is
so
very
much
bookended.
We're going to a different direction. It's for people who want to get away from the politics. Rev said he has a feeling in his gut the minute he wakes up. I'm trying to calm y'all down. I'm trying to just let's learn stuff. Let's be smart. Let's be curious. Right? That's what that show is about.
Exactly. James also for the $5 donation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jim with the $5 super sticker. Love you guys so much. Marilyn came in with a $5 super sticker as well. So did Chris with a $5 donation. Nick, thank you for the $25 donation.
Yeah.
And thinks we should do a TED Talk, Kim. Maybe we should write something like that up.
You know what? Anytime you want to meet me for one of these conversations, I will be there.
We'll be having a lot of these conversations, my friend. Thank you. Vicky with a $10 donation and a good transgender comment as well. Yes. Exactly. And this is going to be a conversation I think we're going to have often on this show. Yeah. John with a $10 super sticker as well. And Pamela started us off with a $5 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We also have our Patreon. If you guys want to support us and be monthly subscribers, we really do appreciate it. We need your help to keep the show going. So just go to NikkiMedoroShow.com. NikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is right there. You can donate $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month. Anything you can support, we really do appreciate it. It goes directly to myself and to Kim. So keep the show on the air. We really do appreciate you guys. Please, please, please. And if you'd like to eat your donation, That's a really weird way to say it. Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. It's this guava barbecue sauce. It's absolutely delicious. Just go to auntietabbies.com. She's an awesome sponsor of the show. It's delicious on all sorts of meat, chicken, fish. It's guava barbecue sauce straight from Jamaica. Tabby is from Jamaica, and a portion not only goes to this show, but also goes to help kids in Jamaica. And if you use the coupon code NIkKim, NIkKim, then you get 10% off every single time you order. So again, go to auntietabbies.com, use the coupon code NIkKim, and you'll get 10% off every single time you order. All right, we will be back here next Thursday with our cocktails. More to talk about. Again, you guys.
My wine is so big I haven't even finished it. It's a full-on goblet of wine. Like you could
I
pour
finished
half the bottle.
mine.
Did
I
you?
swear to God.
Telling
Mine.
ya.
But I drink a lot, so it's fine. Great
Ricky
show.
says-
You guys are
yeah.
my world. Thank you guys so much
Unnecessary,
again.
yeah.
I love this fantastic show. Fine. I'm
Fine.
telling you, it's going to be the new mantra, I think, over the next 4 years. Just fine. Fine, fine, fine.
And
I love
whoever
you guys.
Said this.
Huh.
If you can't affect national change, affect local change. I'm
There you
scrolling
go.
back for that one. I thought that's
love
really
you
good.
guys.
You know,
It
pour
is
your
true.
energy into something you can do something
Exactly.
about, right?
All politics is local. So if you can't, don't be disillusioned by national politics. Stay local. Oh, goody. I hope you enjoy the results of your voting, Trumpers. Cheryl, I love you guys. All right. We'll see you back here, 5:00 next Thursday. Love you guys. Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.